Hello, everyone. Welcome to Save News TV. I am your host, AZ Hubbard. Want to make sure that everybody can hear me. Got a new mic going on, and want to make sure everybody can hear me clearly. Let me test. Okay, yes. So, anyway, today, everybody, I wanted to thank you for joining us and welcoming us into your home. One thing that we're going to talk about, there's a couple of things, and I am so saddened. Um, I got to bring it up first, you all. I was really going to honor the 9/11. Um, it's been 22 years, and we're still going to talk about 9/11, but something just came across the wire. It is unbelievable. And when people say read the room, people need to read the room. Well, anyway, just hot off the wire, President Biden has released $6 billion in a prison swap with Iran, the frozen funds for the release of 5 American citizens that are detained in Iran. And first of all, I want to say, read the room. Why would you do this on 9/11? I am baffled why this was done on 9/11. So everybody, let's get into it. It just came across about not even 30 minutes ago. The Biden administration has cleared the way to release 5 American citizens detained in Iran by issuing a blanket waiver for international banks to transfer $6 billion in frozen Iran money from South Korea to Qatar without fear of U.S. sanctions. In addition, as part of the deal, the administration has agreed to release 5 Iranian citizens held in the United States. Okay, so let me get this straight. You all help me because, you know, not only are the last swap, it was a basketball player for the Merchant of Death. And now it's 5 American citizens plus $6 billion. And we're going to give them back 5 Iranian citizens. Okay, somebody help me. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken signed off on the sanction waivers late last week, a month after U.S. and Iranian officials said an agreement in principle was in place. Congress was not informed of the waiver decision until Monday. So technically, nobody knew about this until Monday, according to notifications, which was obtained by the Associated Press. And this is one of the problems that we have with um, employees making decisions for American citizens that are not elected. But anyway, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I'm just a little, baffled here. The outlines of the deal had been previously announced and a waiver was expected, but the notifications marked the first time the administration said it was releasing 5 Iranian prisoners as part of the deal. The prisoners have not been named. The waiver drew criticism of President Joe Biden from Republicans and others who said the deal will boost the Iranian economy at a time when Iran poses a growing threat to U.S. troops and Mid-East allies. On X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa said, "It's ridiculous for the U.S. to be blackmailed into paying $6 billion for hostages, which will help indirectly finance the number one foreign policy of Iran, terrorism." They be monitoring these streets, so I have to say it off. Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas accused Biden of paying ransom to the world's most state sponsor of blah, blah, blah. The waiver means that European, Middle Eastern, and Asian banks will not run afoul of U.S. sanctions in converting the money frozen in South Korea and transferring it to Qatar Central Bank, where it will be held for Iran to use for the purchase of humanitarian goods. The transfer of $6 billion was the critical element in the prisoner release deal, which saw 4 of 5 American detainees transferred from Iranian jails into house arrest last month. The 5th detainee have already been under house arrest. Due to numerous U.S. sanctions on foreign banks that engage in transactions aimed at the benefiting Iran, several European countries had barked at the participating in the transfer. Blinken waiver is aimed at easing these concerns about any risk of U.S. sanctions. I, I have to stop here because I am in total awe of them transferring $6 billion, and they're going to give back 5 Iranian prisoners that they have not named in exchange for 5 American prisoners. Woo! I cannot. So it's worth, I cannot. People familiar with the negotiations said they expected the detainees will be released as early as next week. The American prisoners included Shamik Namazar, who was detained in 2015 and was later sentenced to 10 years in prison on internationally criticized spying charges. Imad Shariha, a venture capitalist, sentenced to 10 years. Morad Tabaz, a British American conservative of Iranian descent, who was arrested in 2018 and also received 10 years sentence. The 4th and the 5th prisoners were not identified. Okay. Woo, Lord have mercy. To facilitate their release, the United States has committed to release 5 Iranian nationals currently under the United States and permitted the transfer of approximately $6 billion in restricted Iranian funds held in South Korea to restricted accounts in Qatar, where the funds will be available only for humanitarian trade. Blinken wrote, yeah, right. Y'all believe that? Do you believe that Iran is going to use the $6 billion only in humanitarian aid? I'm asking for a friend. The sanctions waiver applies to banks and other financial institutions in South Korea, Germany, Ireland, Qatar, and Switzerland. I determined that it is in the national security interest of the United States to waive the imposition of sanctions with respect to foreign financial institutions under the primary jurisdiction of Germany, Ireland, Qatar, the Republic of Korea, and Switzerland that are notified directly in writing by the U.S. government that to the extent necessary for such institutions to engage in transactions occurring on or after August 9, 2023, Blinken wrote. Sanction waivers apply to transactions involving previously penalized entities such as the National Iranian Oil Company, the Central Bank of Iran to transfer funds from accounts in the Republic of Korea to accounts in Switzerland and Germany, and from accounts to Switzerland and Germany to accounts in Qatar, and to be transferred and to transfer the funds further humanitarian transaction according with written guidance of the United States government, he wrote. Okay. I just want to know exactly um, how you all feel about this. You know, this is the um, 22nd year of 9/11. Thousands of people lost their lives on 9/11. Congress had no idea of this. This was a decision by the Biden administration and an unelected official, Blinken, to release $6 billion to Iran. And Congress was notified on 9/11. I'm just saying. I am just saying. So you all tell me what's your thoughts on, that. And it's just a mess. It's so much stuff has been going on that, whenever stuff come across, it's like, wow. you know I'm going to put this in even though I read this article, I always like to put it in the comment section for you all to get an opportunity to go back after this video is over. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Once the video is over, go and look at the article for yourself, see what you're talking about, and form your opinion. I've given my opinion. I'm just shocked and appalled. And $6 billion for 5 prisoners, plus you're going to give them back 5 prisoners that you hold. I don't know who, who's this who's doing the negotiation. Blinken. He needs, this is, we have become a country where we pay. It's advantageous of countries to put our citizens in jail over there wherever they are, because if Biden is in office, they know that they're going to cave. Like I said, there was a basketball player traded for the Merchant of Death. I mean, you can't make this up. You really can't make this up. You cannot make this up. But anyway, I'm going to move on to, really just giving some more information on President Biden and how he acknowledged 9/11, the 22nd year of 9/11. Like I said, they just gave away $6 billion to Iran in a hostage swap. 5 U.S. prisoners, $6 billion to Iran, and they're going to give back 5 Iranian prisoners. I mean, like I stated, it's now advantageous for countries to take our American citizens over there and do as they possibly please, as far as saying, hey, you want your people back? We're going to want some money. We need some money, We need some money, and we need our prisoners back. And like I said, giving away $6 billion for in a hostage exchange type situation and giving back their prisoners, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. I'm just telling you like it is. But Biden, when he chose to send Kamala Harris to ground zero, um, to commemorate the 22nd anniversary of 9/11, and he decided that he was going to be in Alaska. He said from ground zero to Alaska. Americans look back on 9/11 with moments of silence, tearful words, and appeals to teach younger generations about the terror attacks of 22 years ago. Now, I'm going to stop here before I get into the drag or whatever. But I know I did, and I was talking to several people today, and I remember distinctly where I was and what I was doing when 9/11 happened. There's certain occasions that has happened throughout history that's unforgettable, and 9/11 is one of those occasions that I will never forget in my life. It was so traumatizing. And I'm sure it was for everybody, because it was one thing, as horrid as it was, it did bring the country together like I've never seen in my lifetime. The country being brought together, pulling together, praying for each other, comforting each other, just really coming together as a nation. And that was, Pearl Harbor was one thing that happened that I'm sure at that time I was not alive, um, that brought the nation together. And 9/11 brought the nation together. And we must honor the lives of those that that lost their lives, the families that lost their loved ones, those that are no longer with us, and the heroic firemen, the heroic police officers, the heroic 911 ambulances, first responders, all of them. We give a round of applause to them and thank them for that horrid day. And many are still suffering from illnesses that they incurred during that time. And it's just a time to honor them and respect those that went through that. The Pentagon that was hit at that time, those that were at the Pentagon. Sometimes we just focus only on New York, and that was devastating. But we also need to focus on those that were at the Pentagon also, because it was a traumatic event there too. So we want to pay homage and honor those there. But Biden decided that, he would be in Alaska. At least he got to the United States. Okay, let's get into this article. But again, I want to thank everyone and know that our prayers and our thoughts are with you all. We thank you for the service that you administered that day and the days afterwards. To the families, we pray for you and continuous healing. To those that was there and survived, the same thing. We could never feel what you felt that day, out even after 22 years. And we honor you all this day. Okay. And it's a time that we'll, as Americans, we will never forget. So anyway, we're going to move on to the story of where President Biden was. For those of us who lost people on that day is still happening. Everyone else moves on, and you find a way to go forward. But that day is always happening for you, Edward Elderman said as he arrived to the New York's World Trade Center to honor his slain brother in law, Daniel McGinley. Joe Biden, speaking at the military base in Anchorage, Alaska, urged Americans to rally around protecting democracy. His visit en route to Washington from a trip to India and Vietnam is a reminder that the impact of 9/11 was felt in every corner of the world, however remote. Okay. Ooh, I don't know what I did there. We know that on this day, every American heart is wounded, Biden said. Yet every big town, small town, suburb, rural town, tribal community, American hands went up ready to help where they could. Nearly 3,000 people were killed when hijacked planes crashed into the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and the Pennsylvania Field in an attack that reshaped American foreign policy and domestic fears. On that day, we were one country, one nation, one people, just like it should be, Eddie Ferguson, a fire rescue chief in Virginia's Goochland County, said by phone before the anniversary. The predominantly rural area of 25,000 people has a September 11th memorial and hold two anniversary commemoratives. One focus on first responders, the other on honoring the victims. And this is the photo of their. This is the crash that happened in Pennsylvania that took the lives. This U.S. Flight United 93 crash, and that was on in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, that took the lives of those in Pennsylvania. At Ground Zero, Vice President Kamala Harris joined other dignitaries at the ceremony on the National September 11th Memorial Plaza. Instead of remarks from political figures, the event features victims reading the names of the unalived and delivering brief personal messages. Some included patriotic declarations about American values and thanked first responders and the military. One lauded the Navy SEALs who unalived Al Qaeda leader and 9/11 plotter Osama bin Laden in Pakistan in 2011. Another appeal for peace and justice. One acknowledged the many lives lost in post 9/11, the war on terror, and many shared reflections of missing loved ones. Though we never met, I am honored to carry your name and legacy with me, said Manuel D'Amato Jr., who was born after his father's namesake and died. Gabrielle Gamerlini, reading names is the biggest honor of my life. She lost her uncle and godfather. We have to keep the memory of everybody who died alive. Mm, mm. That's heavy. This is their legacy, Gabriella said, heading into the ceremony. Biden, a Democrat, became the first president to commemorate September the 11th in the western US. He and his predecessors have gone to one or another of the attack sites in most years. Though Republican George W. Bush and Democrat Barack Obama each marked their anniversary at the White House lawn at times, Obama also visited Fort Meade in Maryland. Mm. Warning of the extremism and political violence, Biden told service members and their families that every generation has a fight to preserve U.S. democracy. That that's why the terrorists targeted us in the first place. Our freedom, our openness, our institutions, they failed, but we must remain vigilant, he said. First Lady Jill Biden laid a wreath at 9/11 Memorial at the Pentagon, where a giant American flag hung over the side of the building. Earlier, bells tolled and musicians played taps at 9:37 a.m., the time when one of the hijacked planes hit the military headquarters. As the years go by, it may feel the world is moving on and even forgetting what happened on September 11th, 2001. But the Defense Department will always remember, Secretary Lloyd Austin said. He deployed to Iraq in the war that followed the attack. Harris's husband, Doug Imhoff, laid a wreath at the Flight 93 National Memorial near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where another plane crashed after passengers tried to storm the cockpit. Earlier Monday, at the memorial, a rabbi from Pittsburgh's Tree of Life Synagogue, where a gunman unalived 11 worshipers in 2018, called for ensuring that younger people know about 9/11. With memory comes responsibility, the determination to share our stories with this next generation so that through them our loved ones continue to live, Rabbi Jeffrey Myers said. The memorial is offering a special education video, virtual tour, and other class material for classroom use. Many Americans did volunteer work on what Congress has designated both Patriot Day, and National Day of Service and Remembrance. Others gathered at the anniversary events at memorials, firehouses, city halls, campuses, and elsewhere. In Iowa, a march set off at 9:11 a.m. Monday from the suburban Waukee to the state capital of Des Moines. In Columbus, Indiana, excuse me, observances include a remembrance message sent to police, fire, and EMS radios. New Jersey's Monmouth County, which was home of some 9/11 victims, this year made September 11th a holiday for county employees, and so they could attend the commemorations. Pepperdine University campus in Malibu, California displayed one American flag for each victim, plus the flags for every country that lost a citizen in 9/11, reflecting the tragic scope. UN General Assembly President Dennis Francis exhorted world nations Monday to counter extremism, build tolerance, join hands, and say again. Fenton, Missouri is more than 650 miles from the attack site, but St. Louis suburbs, population 4,000, holds an anniversary ceremony at the memorial that includes steel from the World Trade Center's fallen Twin Towers and a plaque honoring Sarah Lee Sachs, the 9/11 victim, with relatives in town. Hmm. So we're going to put this in the chat, and so you can visit that site. But again, we honor the victims, their families, the first responders, our military, our police, those families and friends that lost loved ones. We pray and cherish you and remember you this day. So, well, and thank you all for helping me honor the 9/11 victims, because it is something that I don't think any American will ever forget that was alive that day. And I'm sure they remember exactly where they were that day. So now we're going to move it move along. I wanted to really honor and pay homage to 9/11 victims and first responders and everyone involved. So next up is we're gonna watch a video, and it's going to be long. I'm sure you all probably have heard about it, where President Joe Biden said he wanted to go to sleep. He talked about John Wayne, and pretty much, and he was in Hanoi, Vietnam, and pretty much, I'll let you see for yourself. I'll let you see for yourself. I'll let you see for yourself. And okay, let me put this back on screen. I had all kinds of stuff showing up. Okay. All righty, let's watch Joe Biden. We'll make sure we're coming through loud and clear here with okay. Let's see. Let me pause for a minute. Let me get this audio going here. Oh, okay. Let's see. Okay. Let me get this output going here, because we have this new mic going on. Okay. Okay. Let's see if we got it this time. Oh, I got it on mute.
Song, good morning, Vietnam. Well, good evening, Vietnam. Good morning back in America. Before we begin, I want to express my sadness by the loss of life and devastation caused by the earthquake in Morocco. Our thoughts and prayers with the people of Morocco and my friend King Mohammed VI, I should say, and my administration in Morocco, including Secretary of State Blinken, who's here with me today, is working with Moroccan officials on long distance here. We're working expeditiously to ensure American citizens in Morocco are safe, standing ready to provide any necessary assistance to the Moroccan people as well. We've made that offer.
Over the past 6 months, we have been investigating as well as exposing the truth behind all of these food processing plants that have been catching on fire and burning to.
Now turning to the important visit here in Vietnam. As General Secretary and I just shared earlier today, this trip has been a historic moment. Today we can trace a 50-year arc of progress in the relationship between our nations, from conflict to normalization. This is a new elevated status that will be a force for prosperity and security in one of the most consequential regions in the world. We've elevated our cooperation directly to the Vietnamese highest tier of partnership, referred to as the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. That means the United States has strengthened our ties with another critical Indo-Pacific partner. Our progress today builds on Camp David Trilateral with Japan and the Republic of Korea and the United States. Comprehensive Strategic Partnership the United States launched with ASEAN last year, and the engagement with the Pacific Island Forum. Our strengthened alliances with the Philippines and AUKUS partnership with Australia and the United Kingdom. Our elevated Quad engagement with India, Australia, and Japan, and the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity. And all the effort we've advanced from day one of my administration to demonstrate to our Indo-Pacific partners and to the world.
Okay. The reason why we're going to watch all of this, because, sometimes people put up sound bites and then, it's not a good representation. So we want to be fair. So we're going to put the entire video up and we're going to watch it.
The United States is a Pacific nation, and we're not going anywhere. Now, let me also speak to significant business we got done in India during the G20 summit. This was an important moment for the United States to demonstrate our global leadership and our commitment to solving the challenges that matter most to people around the world. Investing in inclusive growth and sustainable development, addressing the climate crisis, strengthening food security and education, advancing global health and health security. We showed up ready to work, and we showed the world the United States is a partner with a positive vision for our shared future. At the G20, we made progress on issues like multilateral development bank reform to get to those nations that are neither poor nor wealthy but couldn't qualify before, debt relief, and increased infrastructure needs, not only in the global south but other parts of the world as well. We forged a groundbreaking new partnership that will connect India to Europe with the Middle East and Israel, with transportation by rail and by shipment through and energy supplies and digital connections that are going to open up untold opportunities for transformative economic investment on that entire corridor. We've also discussed Russia's brutal and illegal war in Ukraine. There was sufficient agreement in the room on the need for a just and lasting peace that upholds the principles of the UN Charter and respects sovereignty and territorial integrity. I want to once again thank Prime Minister Modi for his leadership and his hospitality in hosting the G20. He and I have had substantial discussions about how we're going to continue to strengthen the partnership between India and the United States, building on the Prime Minister's visit to the White House last June. And as I always do, I raised the importance of respecting human rights and the vital role the civil society and the free press have in building a strong and prosperous country with Mr. Modi. And we've gotten a lot of important work done, and I'm looking forward to another good day tomorrow here in Vietnam. And now I will take your questions.
Okay, so now he's given his speech. And so now we're at the press conference part where I would like it known that only reporters was pre-selected. It wasn't a free-for-all where any reporter could ask questions. It's just like they're doing at the White House. They're taking certain people that they have field questions to so they can already have the pre-answer. So, you're really not learning anything, but you're going to learn something about what we're going to see now. Okay, let's go.
Let me see. They told me they gave me 5 people here. Nandita.
See, he just tell you. They gave him 5 people that was allowed to ask questions. This is the G20 World Summit. And you got 5 people that can ask questions. You know how many reporters was probably there? All around the world. 5 people already pre-selected. Okay.
Of Reuters.
Thank you for taking my question, Mr. President.
Well, there you are. I couldn't
Hi.
say I'm sorry.
Hi. Last week, China questioned the quote sincerity of the Biden administration.
I'm sorry, the what?
The sincerity
The sincerity of the Biden administration.
of the Biden administration, and accused the United States of containing China while pushing for diplomatic talks. How would you respond to that? And do you think President Xi is being sincere about getting the relationship back on track as he bans Apple in China?
Well, look, first of all, I am sincere about getting the relationship right. And one of the things that is going on now is China is beginning to change some of the rules of the game in terms of trade and other issues. And so one of the things we talked about, for example, is that they're now talking about making sure that no one in the Chinese government can use a Western cell phone, those kinds of things. And so really what this trip was about, it was less about containing China. I don't want to contain China. I just want to make sure we have a relationship with China that is on the up and up, squared away. Everybody knows what it's all about.
We took a page from the military's playbook.
Okay, so one thing about it is that
and built a portable solar
commercial
power
again.
generator
But
that
one
can
thing
protect
about
you.
it,
And
they
one of the ways
are
you do
going
that
to.
is you make sure that we are talking about the same things. And
Now, this is new to me. I don't know whether you all have heard it or not, but China is saying that no Chinese can use in China import cell phones from America, but we have, cell phones from China. We also know about BRICS. It's going down. America's getting ready to get the beat down. I mean, it's people want to be in denial, stick their head in the sand, but a lot of countries are not feeling the United States. But this is not the topic. Let's listen to this.
I think that one of the things we've done, I've tried to do, and I've talked with a number of my staff about this for the last, 6 months, is we have an opportunity to strengthen alliances around the world to maintain stability. That's what this trip was all about. Having India cooperate much more with the United States, be closer with the United States, Vietnam being closer with the United States. It's not about containing China. It's about having a stable base in the Indo-Pacific. And for example, when I was spending a lot of time talking with President Xi, he asked why was I going to have the Quad, meaning Australia, India, Japan, the United States. And I said to maintain stability. It's not about isolating China. It's about making sure the rules of the road, everything from airspace and space in the ocean, is the international rules of the road are abided by. And so, and I hope that, I think that Prime Minister Xi has some difficulties right now. All countries end up with difficulties, and he has some economic difficulties he's working his way through. I want to see China succeed economically, but I want to see him succeed by the rules. The next question was to Bloomberg.
Mr. President.
Now, as you notice, these are all American reporters. Now, you at the world thing, but you only taking 5 questions. One is from Reuters. Now, the second one is from Bloomberg. Okay, but it's getting ready to get good, y'all. Just hang with me.
Following up on your comments on China and the economy, you recently called China's economy a ticking time bomb. Do you believe the country's slowdown could risk destabilizing the global economy or causing China to be more aggressive defensively, including
Say the first part of your question again, because this fan is going on. It's loud behind me.
No worries. Do you believe the country's slowdown in growth could risk destabilizing the global economy or cause China to be more aggressive defensively, including with Taiwan? And separately, sir, are you worried about the meeting between President Putin and Kim Jong-un, if that could mean Russia has more gains in the war in Ukraine?
I think China has to international growth and lack thereof, and the policies that China has followed. And so I don't think it's going to cause China to invade Taiwan. As a matter of fact, the opposite, probably doesn't have the same capacity that it had before. But as I said, we're not looking to hurt China, sincerely. We're all better off if China does well. China does well by the international rules, grows the economy. But they have had some real difficulty in terms of their economy of late, particularly in real estate, side, that end of the bargain. And I think the actions that they're going to have to take are ones that they're in the process of deciding right now. And I'm not going to predict what way will come out, but we're not looking to decouple from China. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to sell China material that would enhance their capacity to make more nuclear weapons, to engage in defense activities that are contrary to what is viewed as most people think was a positive development in the region. And but we're not trying to hurt China. Okay, BBC, Laura? Am I correct? Is that correct, Laura?
It is. My name is Laura Bicker. I'm from BBC News. Good evening, Mr. President.
Good
How are
evening.
you?
Well, thank you.
Good.
These 5-day trips around the world are no problem.
I can imagine. It is evening, I'd like to remind you. I mean, in the last 6 months, you've signed pacts and deals with Japan, South Korea, Philippines, Australia, even the Pacific Islands. You're here standing in Beijing's backyard. Now, China says this is part of your Cold War mentality. Are they right, sir? Are they right, Mr. President? Is there a danger of a Cold War? And when will you meet Mr. Xi?
Well, I hope I get to see Mr. Xi sooner than later. I've spent more time with him than any other world leader has, sum total, over the last 12 years. So I hope we get to see him again soon. But, no, look.
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on Amazon is not.
For example, one of the things we did in India, we provided for a new path that's going to save everybody money, increase the global South's capacity to grow by.
Okay, so now we're starting to see things go south. He has called India the third world and the other countries the third world. Now, because he couldn't think of another word, even though he called them the third world twice, he said the South. So let's back it up again, just in case you missed it.
I've spent more time with him than any other world leader has, sum total, over the last 12 years. So I hope we get to see him again soon. But, no, look, for example, one of the things we did in India, we provided for a new path that's going to save everybody money, increase the global South's capacity to grow.
Okay, so now he's referring to India as the third world. I'm sure that went over well. Let's continue.
By sending, we're going to have a new railroad from India all the way across to the Mediterranean, shipping lanes and pipelines across the Mediterranean, through Europe, up into Great Britain and beyond. That's all about economic growth. It has nothing to do with hurting China or helping China. It has to do with dealing with everything from climate change to making sure that these countries can succeed economically and grow. Look, my thesis has been from the beginning, both domestically and in terms of foreign policy, invest in your people. Invest in the people.
What? Whoa, whoa, ho, 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 ho. He said, invest in your people. Okay. He sent billions to Ukraine. I'm just talking about recently. Billions to Ukraine. Just released today $6 billion to Iran for a prisoner exchange of 5 prisoners, plus give them back 5 prisoners. Yet, he only wants to give $700 per family to the victims of the Maui fire. And he just said, take care of your people first. Did I hear correctly? Please tell me. Let me back that up and let him tell me that again. Let's back it up.
Countries can succeed economically and grow. Look, my thesis has been from the beginning, both domestically and in terms of foreign policy, invest in your people. Invest in the people. Give them a chance. Everything's better off when people, it's going to sound trite. If everybody in the world had a job they got up in the morning and wanted to go to and thought they could put 3 squares on the table for their family no matter where they live, the whole world would be better off. It would be a lot better. That's the notion here behind this. For example, one of the things we're doing in terms of, I proposed a long time ago at the G7, now it's going to come to fruition at the G20, is making sure that we build a railroad all the way across the African continent. Think about it.
Think about, hold up. You don't need to go to the African continent. The African continent do not want you there. That's why they got BRICS. That's why they are dropping the American dollar. If you think that the African countries are feeling you, they are not. Now, the African Union was just joined G20 this year. India nominated them for them to come in. The African Union, which comprises of several African nations, African countries, and we'll probably get into that at another time, but not tonight. But Africa is on a different path. The nations of Africa, the countries of Africa, have a different vision. You need to worry about America and stop worrying about other countries and their vision.
Way to cross the African continent by road, by rail, and there's not even a direct highway across. Now let's assume, for the sake of discussion, we talk about food shortages. Assume there was one country in that vast continent that had an excess of foodstuffs and resources. How would they get it to where they're going to go? How are they going to do it? That's why we're also going to invest billions of dollars in solar facilities in Angola to have the largest.
Well, one thing about, like I stated, the African nations, the leaders, a lot of the leaders, Nigeria, Uganda, several other nations have already told you they're not interested in what you all are peddling, because what you all are peddling is for them to accept a group of people, a lifestyle that is illegal in their country. And they don't want your money because they're not going to do it. Okay. So you might as well keep it moving.
A largest solar facility in the world, among the largest. That helps Angola, but also helps the whole region. So I think we think too much in terms of Cold War terms. It's not about that. It's about generating economic growth and stability in all parts of the world.
I tell you what, if the United States and France and Britain and England returned to the African nations all the things that they stole, they'd be just fine. They're going to be just fine anyway. So stop stealing, trying to continue to steal. Ain't nobody, people these nations are waking up, and they should have been awake. But now it's time to do something about it, like Nigeria.
And that's what we're trying to do. Sorry. Okay. Am I pronouncing it Avilia? Did I pronounce the name correctly? There you are.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Mr. President. It's Aurelia and for AFP. I had a question on the climate crisis. You just mentioned the G20. Just this week, the United States warned that if there is no phasing out of fossil fuels, it won't be possible to reach the goals of the Paris Agreement. There was no agreement at the G20 on fossil fuels. How concerned are you about this lack of consensus?
Here are the top 3 dirty self-defense moves.
Anyway.
Number 1, throwing dirt in your opponent's eyes. Throwing an object at your opponent's eyes.
It wasn't so much an agreement that we would try to meet the goals of G20. The United States is going to meet those goals, by the way. We're going to exceed those goals. A lot of other countries are as well. But we want to give those countries that don't have the economic wherewithal and did not cause the problem in the first place. For example, I met with Lula in Brazil. I started off way back in the 80s with a really fine Republican senator named Dick Lugar. We said, here's what we're going to do. If you owe us money, we're going to forgive your debt if you maintain your forest, because they become carbon sinks. They're the things that take...
Yeah, if they maintain their forest, but now because of 15-minute cities, they burning up the world. But look, there's so much stuff going on. Let me move
carbon out of the air. And so we're talking to what we should be and the countries that cleared their land and put cattle on it and farming and did all the things that increased development. They, in fact, are the main reason why we've gotten as far down the road to disaster here as we have. And so...
Okay, so let me... See, this is the problem. All of you all flew in a plane over there. The exhaust from the planes, everything, has probably, that one trip did more to harm the environment than a year's worth of farming. So now the farmers are the bad people. I want you all to hear this now, because you got to be, listen carefully to what's being said. Sometimes we look things. I know I have, but listen to who he's saying, the people that cause the problem, not the people that keep the trees, which they're burning down, but what it was, the people that cause the problems are the farmers.
They, in fact, are the main reason why.
Okay, let me back up a little bit more. They can go back far enough.
Should be and the countries that cleared their land and put cattle on it and farming and did all the things that...
So cattle and farming, did you hear that? They're the ones who cause global warming now. Cattle and farming. Hear it again.
And so we're talking to what we should be and the countries that cleared their land and put cattle on it and farming and did all the things that increased development. They, in fact, are the main reason why we've gotten as far down the road to disaster here as we have. And so it seems that if we have the economic capacity, those nations, should be getting together and providing help for the nations that don't have the wherewithal to do it. The economic wherewithal and the infrastructure.
So you're going to supply money to wherewithal so you can supply artificial food that you do to the United States. So the people that's eating natural food, it's too much. It's too much. Let's keep going.
Structure wherewithal. And that's why, for example, I mentioned, in the interest of time, I just mentioned Angola again. Angola has the capacity to generate megawatts of energy through solar energy.
See, and that's the thing. What they want from Angola is the energy. They're not trying to help those people. America never really tried to help anybody, really, honest, truthfully. I love America, but it is what it is. There's a underlying cause. They want to come and grape that land and take the resources from that land.
The economic means to do that. Isn't it in the interest of the whole world if they're in fact able to generate significant capacity to absorb, to prevent carbon from being released in the air? I think it is. So what we're trying to do is help those nations, so particularly in the global south, where they're not as wealthy, where there are not as many opportunities.
Okay, the problem is that they are wealthy nations, but you all have plundered the land. But there's still resources there. But anyway, I got to stop stopping and talking about that part because that's another video. Let's get back to this.
To be able to deal with the things that they want to deal with. For example, and I'll end with this, there is more carbon absorbed from the atmosphere on a daily basis, and I'll look to my friend John Kerry, who's forgotten more about this than most people know. Correct me if I get this wrong, John, but I'm quite sure I'm right. And that is that there's more carbon absorbed from the air into the Amazon region, into the ground, than admitted in the entire United States on the same basis. Now imagine if people go in and do what we did 150, 250 years ago and cut down the forest and start farming in that area. No longer have that great carbon sink. It would be a gigantic problem. So we should be going to areas, whether it's in the Congo or other places, as the G7 nations and the wealthy G20 nations, though, and providing the kind of infrastructure they need to be able to benefit. And guess what?
Okay, you're going to bring infrastructure, which brings global warming, destroying the land, but yet the farmers are the problem. Make it make sense to me.
In addition to helping the environment overall, and the only existential threat humanity faces, even more frightening than a nuclear war, is...
I was 17 years old when I took over my family's small farm.
Yeah.
Today, we've...
global warming going above 1.5 degrees in the next 10 years. It'd be real trouble. There's no way back from that. And so there's a lot we can do in the meantime. For example, that pipeline, that railroad we're talking about going across from India throughout the Middle East and across the Mediterranean and all through Europe, that's going to have hydrogen pipeline there. This is going to significantly reduce the amount of carbon emitted in the air, but it costs a lot of money to put that down. And the world's going to say it's in our interest, collective interest, to do it. So I have not given up at all on the notion that we're going to be able to, how can I say it? I think we can triple the renewable capacity for, as it relates to global warming, by the year 2030. Countries following the IRA playbook, which is the one we passed, clean energy jobs are going to create manufacturing jobs. For example, as a consequence of what we've done, we have the strongest economy in the world today. Right now, today, the United States of America has the strongest economy in the world. Now, we've got more to do, but we have the strongest economy in the world. And one of the reasons we're doing it, we changed the mechanism how we deal with this. And that is, instead of trickle-down economy, that is, if the wealthy and the corporations do very well, everybody's going to do well. Well, the truth of the matter is, I've never bought that theory, but I think the times have changed, and a lot of leading economists are beginning to agree with me. Just flat, straight-out academic economists. And that is, we should build economic growth from the middle out and the bottom up. When that happens, everybody does well. Everybody does well. The wealthy still do very, very well. They have no problem. You can still be a billionaire under that system as well. But you're going to start paying your taxes. If I have anything to do with it, that's a different issue. But all kidding aside, so I think the other thing is dawning on people. Many of you are foreign policy experts, have been engaged for a long time. Did you ever think you'd be sitting at a G20 conference where everyone was preoccupied with the notion of global warming? Not a joke. Did you ever think that? And there's my brother loves there's famous lines from movies that he always quotes, and And one of them is there's a movie about John Wayne. He's an Indian scout, and they're trying to get I think it was the Apache, one of the great tribes of America, back on the reservation. And he's standing with the Unions, so they're all on their horses and their saddles, and there's 3 or 4 Indians in headdresses, and the Union soldiers. And the Union soldiers basically saying to the Indians, "Come with me, we'll take care of you, everything will be good." And the Indian looks at John Wayne and points to the Union soldier and says, "He's a lion, dog-faced pony soldier." Well, there's a lot of lion, dog-faced pony soldiers out there about global warming, but not anymore. All of a sudden, they're all realizing it's a problem.
Now, what does John Wayne and his description, almost insulting the American Indians, have to do with global warming? I mean, I'm telling you, he's going downhill. This does not get any better. It just gets worse.
And there's nothing like seeing the light. I see. I'm just following my orders here.
Okay, you heard what he said. He's following his orders. He's following his orders. Let's back that up. We got to make sure you all hear this. We want you all to hear this. Back it up.
Seeing the light. I see. I'm just following my orders here.
So he's following his orders. He's following his orders. The President of the United States of America is following his orders. What does that mean, y'all? Tell me what that means. Who said that? What that means? He's following his orders. Who's giving him these orders? That's the question. But again, this video is not about that. So let's let me move on.
Is anybody haven't spoken to? No, I ain't calling on you. I'm calling on. I said I had 5 questions. Anita from VOA.
Thank you, Mr. President. I hope you didn't think that calling only on women would get you softballs tonight.
Oh, I know better than that.
Okay, well, let me start with President Xi.
If you send me a softball, I wouldn't know what to do with it. I'd probably strike out even worse.
Well, let me ask you about, you've spent lots of time talking about all the time you spent with President Xi and the importance of leader-to-leader communication, yet you two haven't spoken in 10 months. And I just wonder, are you worried that this is destabilizing the U.S.-China relationship, and what are you going to do about it? And then, if I may, on Ukraine, sir?
Okay. So what they're saying is that he has not spoken with...
Kiev is upset that the G20 communique didn't name Russia as the aggressor. Have you managed to rally more support or sympathy across the G20, or is this emerging as a wedge issue with the Global South? And does that change your commitment to Ukraine?
It's not a wedge issue with the Global South. It's a wedge issue with Russia, which is present, and with China, which is present, has representation. And and by the way, I am, my team, my staff still meets with President Xi's people and his cabinet in effect.
He's the president of the United States. He's talking about his team and his staff meets with Xi's team and staff. That's insane. This man, as the president of the United States, has not spoken to one of the most world leading countries, China, in 10 months. Okay, this is not good for America. Okay, there's no mending the fence if you haven't spoken to somebody in 10 months. You're talking about your people talk to his people and his people talk to your people. And no.
Met with his number 2 person here.
His number 2 person, not number 1. But number two, okay.
In India today. So it's not like there's a crisis if I don't personally speak to him. It'd be better if I did. But I think, look, this is not a criticism. It's an observation. He has his hands full right now. He has overwhelming unemployment with his youth. One of the major economic tenets of his plan isn't working at all right now. I'm not happy for that, but it's not working. So he's trying to figure out, I suspect, I don't know, just like I would, trying to figure out what to do about the particular crisis they're having now. But I don't think it's a crisis relating to conflict between China and the United States. As a matter of fact, I think it's less likely to cause that kind of conflict. I don't, anyway, I just think that there are other things on leaders' minds, and they respond to what's needed at the time. And look, nobody likes having celebrated international meetings if you don't know what you want at the meeting, if you don't have a game plan. He may have a game plan. He just hasn't shared it with me. But I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed.
Okay. Did we hear that? Did you hear that? He's at the world leading and he's like, okay, I'm done here. I'm getting ready to go to bed. I'm getting ready to go to bed. I'm going to bed. But anyway, y'all, I wanted you all to watch that. So we watched the whole thing because I know there's a lot of snippets and everything out there. But we want to make sure that we watch the whole thing so that we can be informed on what people are talking about, how it was put in context. But, you know, I just, you know, they're laughing. They're laughing. They're laughing. Okay. Well, anyway, we're going to move on to our next story, and that is, let me find this. Kamala Harris having saying that she's celebrating the 50th anniversary of hip hop. Now, if anyone has followed, we know that Kamala Harris has, you know, never embraced, claimed being black. Her father is African, her mother is Indian, I believe. And but yet and still now, because she's pandering, because of the number of African Americans, especially African American males, that have gotten behind the Donald Trump, that she now is going to have the hip hop at the White House. Okay. She's saying, you know, now I'm black. Nobody's buying it, because we're going to go over these comments from the people on this particular post. I'm only going to pull up one. But see, this is what they do. This is what they do. They feel that black people are stupid enough, that all black people, you know, it's either church or the hip hop. It's either church or the hip hop. That's how we, you know, quiet down black people. You know, that's how we support black people. Whether it is a holiday, a monument, but where's the reparations? Cut the check. Cut the check. Cut the check. But anyway, I'm going to add this on this screen, and I'm going to let you all see this for yourself, because it is, now this is a site that's coming from The Shade Room. Now this is her. Okay, I'm gonna have to turn off the music because I don't want to get struck, copyright stricken. Okay, now this is her at the White House in a corner. Okay, and they had performances by Lil Wayne, Remy Ma, Fat Joe, and there was more people there. That and Fat Joe gifted her with some Nike Air Force. Okay, I can't play that music. Now, what we want to do is to get a feel, because see, this is the thing, is that we want no, as Black person, we want no confusion for Kamala Harris to think that we buying what she's selling. So let's just look at some of these comments. One person says, "Oh, she Black again." Right time for the election season. And there was a slew of replies here. 106. This particular comment got almost 21,000 likes. So, Black people saying, "Oh, so now it's time for the elections. You Black again." Okay, it's time for the pandering. It's time for the pandering. People laughing at the comment because it's funny. It's funny. It's funny because that's what they do. That's what they do. They make it. We're gonna make sure that I'm gonna pull it up on my phone because this is insane. All right. That's her laughing. Okay. That's the one thing I hate about people saying word. If you're trying to make, let's see. Let me pull it up on my phone. Because, excuse me, and I'm going to read some of the comments from there. Yes. She think people are stupid, just like Joe Biden. Just like when she went over to Africa offering money. They sent her over there. I don't know why y'all think Black people are stupid, because we are not. We are not. And let me read some of these comments here. Over 10,000 comments, and I encourage you. This is from the Shade Room. I'm going to encourage you to go over there. It's on their Instagram post to view this after we finish this show. All right. One person said, "I'm so sick of her pandering, won't help." Another person said, oh, that's the one that, she Black again. Here's another one. "Oh, she popped out because elections is coming up. So sick of these people, all these people." And this one got 16,000 likes. Well, the other one that I said I had almost 21,000 likes, they already got over 21,000 likes. Someone says, IDGAF. You all know what that means. I'm not going to say it because this is a Christian channel. Says, "What y'all say? This is offensive. ASF. Every day they play in our face." Almost 15,000 likes. The other one has almost 16,000 likes. Here's another one. "If pandering was a person, erase these student loans, or I don't want to hear nothing. No D concert." Another one. "Child, everything to wheel y'all in. Remember, it's time to vote again, child. IDGAF. If she had Tupac back from Cuba up there, she ain't did S her entire term." Another person. "Boo, girl, bye. You've done nothing. and I mean nothing. I'm telling you, I'll go over to after we finish the show, go over to Instagram and read these comments. I'm telling you. Okay, just gonna give you a feel of how Black people feel about Kamala Harris bringing on a hip hop show, because it ain't nobody fool. We all know what's going on. It's another person. Don't fall for it. We ain't heard from her in 4 years. Now she needs all y'all vote. She's Black again. Another person. S is embarrassing. The only time Biden administration wants to move her to the front is close to election season to do stuff like this. Kamala is highly intelligent and sharp Black woman and shouldn't be reduced to being left out of politics, but trying to get Black votes for Biden. Okay. You can tell the ones who don't follow politics, just because y'all don't see, okay, front and center doesn't mean Biden don't have her working. That was somebody that's, probably one of the, what's the name? But the 90% of them is dragging her for fifth. Next commenter, trying to get that Black vote, and y'all still claiming her as Black. That lady's Indian. Another one. I guess they trying to get our vote again. Well, I have student loans, so yeah. Somebody said, I'm proud of us today. Based on these comments, guess we are tired of voting and getting nothing for it. Okay? Someone said, still not voting for her. Someone said she danced like an auntie that don't let you take your plate to go. Someone also said, another person said, forgot we had a vice president. Woo! This person said, I was going to cuss y'all out if I didn't see enough mention about the pandering. But I'm proud of all of y'all. Come on. Carry on. Another commenter. This is disgusting. If you don't see that this woman is pandering to Black people just to get the Black vote, then something is wrong with you. And I co-sign on that. They said she also sent, okay, everybody want to call when you're on the phone, okay? So it also said she also sent a lot of Black men to jail too when she was judged literally for petty reasons, a large number. Look her up. Sis ain't for us. Okay, she wasn't judged, but anyway, we know what they mean. Okay, somebody said this is really a joke. She don't know the whole bar to any of those songs. Oh, finna make me mad before I get. I hope both sides of y'all pillow is hot ASF. Luckily, I got one more violation before they ban me, so the person couldn't really go into what they say. Someone said, thank you, Shade Room, for sharing their video. And this was coming from the only Jason Lee. So I guess this was Jason Lee video in the Shade Room. Shared it. Okay. Okay. All right, let's go. This administration reminds me of Scandal, but in this case, Kamala will become the first female president instead of Millie Grant. Okay. So anyway, I'm just gonna say, and then there's someone said election propaganda. So what's that? And there's so many comments. I mean, there's over 15,000 comments. I mean, just so many. Someone said, girl, we ain't buying what you selling. Y'all ought to get off this road. Someone else commenting, man, I'm proud of this comment section. Stop letting them think hip hop is our leaders. Exactly. They just think, like I said, either They pandering to the church. They went over to the church and pandered to the church, or they over here to the hip hop people. You know, Black people are not a monolith. Okay, we all do different things and have different interests and everything like that. You know, woo, Lord. Then somebody, why? Glad you asked. Election time coming. She haven't been around since the inauguration. Bye, Miss Harris. Bye. I'm telling you, there are so many comments. I mean, just dragging that it is just too many. I can't read them all. Matter of fact, let's see how many comments are on this post. Currently, there are almost 30,000 comments, 29,347. All of them singing, 99% of them singing the same song, that it's election time, and they think that Black people are a monolith and they can, do these little things like, like Hillary Clinton, go to the restaurant, have hot sauce in a bag, go eat chicken, go do like dancing. I mean, really, who do they think we are? It's insulting. And now that they got a Black VP who did absolutely nothing for Black people, she says she's Black, but we know. B1 for the B1 crew, y'all know what I'm talking about. But put out there. We know everybody that look like us is not us. It's not for us. We are not buying what you're selling, Kamala Harris. We are not buying what you're selling, Joe Biden. Okay? You can, like I said, go to that post over there on Shade Room, and everywhere that you see is posted where they got comments. People are dragging her for fifth. I just happened to pull up this one because, this one was sent to me. And so I don't have to say anything. All I need to do is read the comments. That would give you a feel. Now, as I hope and pray that these people follow through and make people accountable. Joe Biden having, really mental issues here. Then he's going to send out his second in command that could not even get 3% of the vote nationwide when she was running for president. Okay. She couldn't even get 3%. She got about what, 3%? Around 3%. I don't want neither one of them as president. So Joe don't need to run anymore because he's too old and got issues, and as we saw in the video. She needs to have a seat. He needs to have a seat. Democrats, really, you all need to push somebody else up. I'm just telling you, Joe need to go have a seat. And I'm not going to go into today, but even Democrats are turning against it. We're going to go another day. We're going to get back on more of a regular schedule. I say that, but things happen. We are so busy, but we want everybody to know. Ask these politicians questions, right or the left. I'm an independent. You're going to have to earn my vote. You're not just going to get it because my grandmama, great-great-grandmama, daddy, and, it's a family tradition. No, the Democratic Party is not a family heirloom that's passed down from generation to generation. No. What it is to me, every party is, what are you doing for me? What is in the best interest for me, my life, my family, the country? And right now, the Democrats are not it. Like I said, I voted Democrat before, I voted Republican before, and I voted independent before. We definitely vote. I vote for whom I feel is best and ask the hard questions. Don't go by what people say, go by what they do. But I would encourage y'all, if y'all want a good laugh, I'm telling you, a good laugh. And you can go to several platforms, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, just, look up the video and read the comments under it, because, baby, she got dragged everywhere but loose. she got dragged everywhere but loose. I mean, look at it. Look at it, y'all. Look, 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 look. Hey, 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 all black people, all black people. Hey, hey, look at me. Look at me. You know, not even inside the White House. They got them in the corner. Look at it. Look at it. Yeah, yeah, in the corner. Stage in the corner. Okay. Look. Dropping off some knights at the White House. Fat Joe. Child, please. Y'all need to stop it. And stop the pandering. Okay? Stop the pandering. We're not buying what you're selling. And so that's all I got to say on the matter. But anyway, thank you all so much for allowing us into your home. I've been on long enough, you know, that I normally don't, you know, I do about an hour or so like that. There's other stories that I wanted to cover. I think there's one more thing that I did want to bring up before I let you all go. Because there's something we talked about that the Biden cashing out, the administration giving the Iranians $6 billion, and we talked about him not being at this is what I wanted to bring up. Ooh. Oh Lord. And this is saddening to me. And I'm going to bring this up. Whew. This is the and a lot of people didn't know this. I did not know this. This came across my feed as usual. And this is coming from the New York Post. And I'm going to pull this up on my phone to read this. That the Marines, and this is an opinion piece. Now I want to start off with this. That the Marines, but it's factual. They're giving their opinion, but this actually happened. They're giving their opinion on the situation. It says that the Marines were ordered to pick up human feces before they were allowed to leave Kabul, degrading and ridiculous. I'm going to read this article for you all. I want you all to see this for yourself. It is sickening. Okay, it says, this article says, before they were allowed to leave Kabul in August of 2021, having just lost 13 comrades to a suicide bomber, U.S. Marines were ordered to pick up human feces and other disgusting trash at the airport so as to leave it pristine for the Taliban. This humiliation is recounted for the first time in the new book, Kabul, because he's talking about this, which the book is entitled Kabul, The Untold Story of Biden's Fiasco and American Warriors Who Fought to the End. The Kabul airport passenger terminals was filthy on August 28, 2021, after the botched Afghanistan withdrawal. More than 120,000 Afghanistans had camped there for more than a week. defecating and leaving trash, bags, clothes, and other unspeakable things. Marines at every level were infuriated at being forced to scoop up human poop. The order to clean came from with a threat that we would not leave at all if it wasn't completed, one junior Marine told author Jerry Dinlevy and James Hasten. It was degrading and ridiculous. We took a lot of casualties and put a lot of effort into that mission, and to close it out the way was wrong. Morale was really down at this point, and it was extremely pointless effort. Sad. It was a final indignity for our military heroes who put themselves in harm's way to satisfy the colonist commander-in-chief who kept changing his mind to suit the political winds. It's sad. But anyway, that's a part of the book. This is coming from the New York Post. And it's just sad that our military that gave, their life, that fight for our freedoms, had to do that. But anyway, everybody, remember, like, share, and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed tonight. We will be back again soon. I appreciate you all. And thank you for tuning in. And we will see you next time. Yes.
Getting bored? Want to enjoy some relaxing music? Do you need to get updated with all the latest news, but don't have enough time to watch TV for hours? Or do you need to get your praise and worship on? We have your solution to your problem. SaveNewsRadio.com got everything you need. Listen to SaveNewsRadio.com, filled with praise and worship 24/7, everywhere, in your home, laptop, or tablet, on your phone, in your car, and on Alexa. Install the Save News Radio skill on Alexa, and then just say, "Alexa, launch Save News Radio." The beautiful, uplifting sounds of praise and worship music, ministries, news, and more. SaveNewsRadio.com, created to glorify God and edify the body of